Well, good evening. Good evening. It's great to have you here tonight, and a really warm welcome to Lansdowne Church for our Big Questions evening. And if you're a visitor and you don't normally come to the church, especially warm welcome to you. Great to have you here. In a moment, I'll share kind of what's going to happen throughout this evening. Firstly, just a notice for those who are kind of the more regular week-by-week members of the church, and particularly for those who've been around for a number of years when this church was Stroudon Church. Just some sad news, really, that Cyril Morris went to be with the Lord. Well, not sad for him, because he's with the Lord, but sad for his wife, Dolly, and family. And so it'd be great to keep them in your prayers over the coming days. But tonight is a really special evening. It's one of our Big Questions evenings, something we do each month throughout the year, where we tackle a big question. And tonight we're tackling it a slightly different way. This is about as much as you're going to hear from me, because I'm not speaking tonight. But it's great to have a good friend of mine and a singer-songwriter called Andy Mayo here tonight. And he's going to be addressing this question: is a fresh start really possible? Through not just through what he says, but also through the songs that he sings. And so we're really looking forward to that. It's going to be slightly different. We're not going to have a public Q&A at the end, but there will be an opportunity to discuss together, and there'll be folks around at the front as well that you can come and ask your questions of at the end if what you hear tonight provokes questions that you want to kind of think through further. So it's great to have you here. I really hope that you enjoy it. I'm sure you will. And I'll hand straight over to Andy. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you for your welcome tonight. It's lovely to be back in Bournemouth, one of my favourite places. I snuck down to the Urban Reef this afternoon, or this morning actually, when I arrived. And then lunch at Mary's. It doesn't get better than that. So thank you for your welcome back to Bournemouth. Well, I was thinking, what kind of atmosphere should we describe this evening? You know, could it be a cafe or a kind of music event? Then we thought, actually, really, just imagine you're sitting in a train station and you're waiting for the train to arrive, and there's some person sitting on the side telling some stories and singing some songs. Well, that's this evening. But we're going to be thinking about a really big theme this evening together. It's a new year, so Happy New Year. And this theme we're thinking about is a fresh start? Is a new start really something that is possible? And we're going to be thinking about that with conversation and some songs and some stories. And I hope that as this evening goes on, we can reflect on this big theme, important theme together. But this evening, you'll be pleased to know that we've got a dear friend of mine called Stan Majerski here with us. And he's going to play the keyboards for 5 of these songs. So invite Stan up now. This is Stan here. Welcome, Stan. Now, Stan and I used to play together when we lived in Serbia. And after living in Serbia, where better could you live? And it was very hard to find a place, but Stan finally found Bournemouth, and he's moved into your town. So we got in touch, and he's here now. So playing for us tonight. Train rattles and sings, sighs and bounces across the edge of town. Brakes squeal and whine, purr and hiss as we pull into the dirty station. Things weigh heavy on my mind as I think how times have changed. And the speaker coughs and splutters, hums and crackles as we move away, But then I think of what you said to me. Come to me and I will give you rest. I will give you rest. And the trees wave and flutter, bend and rustle as we rush, as we rush, as we rush by. Come to me, come to me, come to me and I will give you. Come to me and I will give you, I will give you, I will give you rest. Well, here we are in this little station cafe, and we are talking together about these big themes. And this theme of New Start is a really big one. And once I was sitting in a different cafe from this one we're sharing tonight, and I was looking out across a green, and it was a moment of new start. It was a moment of real hope. I was sitting, leaning forward over this table, drinking a coffee, and the weeks and months before, there'd been this awful time of bombing. It had been going on and on. And now, though, in this cafe, and the news was that it had all finished. And at this moment, this little girl came out from some building holding the hand. I imagine it was perhaps her grandfather. And somehow, it seemed that now these moments of terror and of division, that they'd passed. And this picture of this little girl just holding her hand of her grandfather was a beautiful one. Barriers down, peace, rest, relationship. And I'd like to sing you a song that just describes that moment. It's called Princess. Princess in the park, she holds his hand and steps across the green. And her white dress frills jump and sway as she skips and walks. She's 5 years old. She shines against the cold grey, frowning landscape of bombed out buildings in downtown Belgrade. She's the princess in the park, and everyone turns to smile at her. They smile at her innocence, her joyful insistence to smell the orange flowers that grow between the paving, to point at the pigeon, to laugh at the old man who holds her hand. She's the princess in the park. She's the princess in the park. She's the princess in the park. I don't know if you could see that moment with me and just watch her just in the midst of all that chaos and the fear that she'd been experiencing over the last months, now just with peace in her face, holding on to the hand of her grandfather, stepping out. Beautiful, a beautiful moment. This, I don't know, you might be thinking, new start? I don't want a new start. I'm fine, actually, as I am. But it's interesting to thought. But this, I'd like to tell you about a film I saw that was really struck me. It was a film about somebody who did want a new start. They were longing for a new start. Everything had broken because they had been involved in this terrible car crash. She was about 17 years old at the time, and she was driving away from a party, and she drunk a little bit too much, and as she came careering down the road, not really watching where she was going, she smashed into this family, and it seemed that they'd all been killed. And she gets put into prison for what she's done. And as the story continues, you think, well, perhaps after this, she's going to experience the new start that she needs. When she comes out from prison, everything's going to be fine. But she comes out from prison, and everything's just the same. She's still carrying this burden that she carried when she went in. And she meets different kind of pop philosophers, the person who works as a caretaker alongside her, and others who are all describing how, well, perhaps she could get this freedom she longs for, this new start that she's thirsting for, this forgiveness that she longs for. And there's a mad science fiction element to the story. And the idea is that there's another Earth where everything is exactly the same as it is here. Just the difference in her life is that she's never done this terrible thing. It's as though it had never happened. And she's wondering whether she could travel there and meet the person who wasn't burdened down by all of this. The person who'd never needed a new start. I love the film. It was Stan who introduced me to the film, actually. We watched it one night after working on some music. And then, well, I watched it and was so moved because, I'd love a new start. I'd love to start again. Is that possible? And as I chat to people, I find them saying the same thing, longing for a new start. I wanted to show you the trailer for the film. Here it comes. It's called Another Earth.
The United States planet Earth. Do you read me? Is anyone out there? We're getting feedback. Let's try another channel. Hello? Hello? This is Dr. Joe Dallas.
What does that mean? I don't understand what
Kimberly,
that means.
In the grand history of the cosmos, more than 13,000 million years old, our Earth is replicated elsewhere. There's another you out there. Now you begin to wonder, has the other me made the same mistakes I've made? And is that me better than this me?
Let me tell you a story. It's about a girl. She does something unforgivable. She goes to apologize, but she loses her nerve. She lies to him. She thinks she might be able to make his life a little bit better. It was really just a way to survive what I've done.
Please don't go. You don't know what's out there.
That's why I would go.
This is a place that I call my home.
Well, I recommend the film, and great film to watch and then think about afterwards. And but after I'd seen the film, I was so moved by it that and shared her longing really that I wrote this song, and it asks a question, and it's really asking: is a new start possible? The theme of our evening: is there a place? Is there another place? Is there a place where I could be forgiven? Is there a place where I could be forgiven? Is there a place where I could be free? Is there a place of no condemnation? Is there a place for someone like me? Is there a way my wrong could be passed over? Is there a way to lose it in the deepest sea? Is there a way that I could touch heaven? Is there a way that heaven could come to me? I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life, I hear your voice and it whispers to me. I hear your voice and it echoes in my soul. I hear the voice of loving liberation. I hear the voice of the one who waits to make me whole. I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life, I hear your voice and it whispers to me. We had that snow, didn't we, a few days back, and I don't know if it hit you down here in Bournemouth. I think it's always sunny and palm trees down here, isn't it? But a little bit further north, we had some snow anyway, and I was driving, the windscreen wipers trying to push the snow, and suddenly my mind went back to a time that I was in the mountains in Bosnia, and I had a friend sitting next to me, and we were driving together because he hadn't seen his father for years. And we were talking and driving, and the snow was driving on us. We couldn't drive very fast, and the windscreen wipers trying to push it off like a few days ago. And we were talking, and my friend was describing just that beautiful relationship he'd had with his father and how the war had separated them, and what would it be like to be restored, to be home, to be with him again. You know, that song that I've just sung, it echoes with this amazing claim. I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. The first song was saying, come to me, and I will give you rest. It's one who's speaking and saying, look, new start, you need it, and you find it by coming to me. And the person who said those things is Jesus. And he also told amazing stories. And one of his stories was about a father. He had two sons. And one of the sons basically said, I wish you were dead because I'd rather have all the stuff than have to sit here with you. And the father, shockingly, said, okay, well, you take your share of the stuff. And the son did. He grasped it all and rushed off to a distant land, another country. It's a story that Jesus was telling. And if we'd have been there, we'd have been sitting on the edges of our seats, listening. How could this have happened? But as the son was far away, something kind of clicks in his heart, and he realizes that now everything's kind of fallen through his fingers. Actually, what he longed for wasn't the stuff, but it was connection with this one from whom he'd now been disconnected. And this man, he begins to long to go home. He longs for another place. I was reading a really ancient story this morning of this man who was going to become a restless wanderer because his relationship had been broken and he was excluded, thrown out. And that's the boy, the man in this story. And now he begins to long to go home. And, you know, I think in many of our hearts, we have the same kind of resonance with that story. A longing for something more, a longing for deeper connection, a longing for another place, a longing for a new start. And sometimes traveling, I meet people who think, if I just keep going to the next place, maybe there I'm going to find it. Maybe that's what I'm looking for. And this song is called Dreams of a Homecoming. And he dreams of a homecoming. He dreams of a belonging. And he dreams of peace. He dreams of a homecoming. He dreams of a belonging. And he dreams of peace. And home swells his heart, brings tears to his eyes, and he can almost picture it now. But he's looking for the next train time, he's asking for the next boat line. And he dreams of a homecoming, he dreams of a belonging, and he dreams of every road and every step and every hitchhike ride, every touching conversation, every next bus station, every new situation. And he dreams of a homecoming, he dreams of a belonging, and he dreams of peace. He dreams of a homecoming, he dreams of a belonging, and he dreams of and somehow he feels that this is not the place as he stares into another stranger's face. And he's asking for directions, he's asking for suggestions, he's asking for acceptance. And he dreams of a homecoming, he dreams of a belonging, and he dreams of yeah, he dreams of a homecoming, he dreams of a belonging, and he dreams of he dreams of peace. So my friend's sitting next to me, and we're driving, pushing through the snow, windscreen wipers sliding the snow off the best they can, and we finally arrive at this tall building, and we get in the lifts with the graffiti on the walls, and the doors just about closed, and we rattle up the building. And all the time, I'm wondering, what is his dad gonna say when he gets home? And Jesus' story leaves us wondering the same thing. This man, he's longing to go home, but what's the dad going to say? the doors kind of slid open on this lift, and my friend walked out ahead of me. It was like I wasn't there anymore. And he walks up to the door that would have been so familiar when he was younger, and he bashes on the door, and the door opens, and the chain catches it, and then slams shut. And then suddenly there's a sliding and scattering of a chain, and it wide open, and the father comes out and embraces his son because, well, he's home again. Jesus' story. There's this man, and he presses home. But it's in the story you wonder whether he's even going to make it. And actually, he doesn't even get to the door. But the father, he is looking out for his son. And while he's still a long way off, the father runs to the son and embraces him and welcomes him home like royalty. And he announces to the neighborhood, this son, he was lost and he's found, he was dead, he's alive, he's home. It's a beautiful picture, isn't it? But everyone who's listening to the story, they've kind of moved to another level now. And they realize this isn't the story about some boy in some other land and some family they haven't met yet, but it's a story about their own lives. It's a story about how, well, you and me, we've been saying no to God. Get out of my face to God. And God has allowed us to put this separation between us. But some of us are saying, well, what about a new start? What if I turned to head back towards him? What would the Father say? And Jesus is dropping the biggest, clearest picture that the Father waits for you. Waits for me. The God we're created to know waits to come towards us, to embrace us. We've said to him, no, get out. But he has come towards us. And you might say, well, how has God come towards us? What are you talking about, Andy? Well, this next song, it speaks about a hill and a place where God comes towards us. And he comes towards us in the person who was telling that story, actually. In the person of Jesus. And he comes towards us to take away all that rubbish so that we could be cleared, forgiven, and connected with the Father, the one we're made to know. There's a hill outside a city. It's a place for losers, waste and dirt. It's a place of execution, of misery, pain and retribution. There's a hill now with a cross raised, a hill where men cry out. Hear shouts of condemnation, of agitated satisfaction as an anguished figure gasps. And it's a hill of bones and skulls and death and blood. Yeah, it's a hill of bones and skulls and death and blood. Now from the hill-piercing last words, they ring like, Father, forgive. It is finished, cuts gathering darkness and rocks, and tombs begin to shake. And it's a hill of bones and skulls and death and blood. Yeah, it's a hill of bones and skulls and death and blood. But it's a hill of broken curses. It's a hill of bittersweet. It's a hill of liberation, a hill where grace takes her seat. A hill where grace takes her seat. On this hill the Lord Almighty, he prepares a banquet feast, aged wine, rich food of celebration, 'cause on this hill he removed the shroud that covers every nation. Yeah, on this hill he swallowed up death forever. And on this hill he'll wipe each tear-stained eye. 'Cause on this hill he removed the disgrace of his people. Yeah, he removed the disgrace that's yours and that's mine. Yeah, he removed the disgrace that's yours and that's mine. And it's a hill of bones and skulls and death and blood. Yeah, it's a hill of bones and skulls and death and blood. But it's a hill of broken curses. It's a hill of bittersweet. It's a hill of liberation, a hill where grace takes her seat. A hill where grace takes her seat. A hill where grace takes her seat. I don't know if you can see the picture. It's a picture of that same Jesus who told those stories, but how he goes to a cross and how he dies claiming that all those things that were wrong and broken in that girl's life in the film, that he was dying to take away the guilt for that, to take away the wrongness for that, so that take away the blame for that. He was paying for it as he hung on that cross. And the end of that song echoes with an ancient piece of poetry that says, on this hill, the Lord Almighty, speaking of the God who comes towards us, he prepares a banquet feast, wine and food. But in this place, he takes away the shroud that covers every nation. He takes away the disgrace that's mine and that's yours. And he does that by Jesus dying in our place, the one who is God here, dying to bring us a new start. I want to invite Stan back, and this song is called Broken Man. It's another story of a person who experiences revolution, experiences a new start. And I don't know whether you can picture yourself in this guy's shoes. He walks past billboards and there's all these promises in them, and they don't come to him. He doesn't experience that kind of life. He stares at the TV and the brokenness of the world, and he despairs. He falls on his knees, condemned by it all. And he stares in the mirror, and he just feels, what is this all about? He's longing for a new start. And then as the story continues, he sees something that he's seen time and time again. But today it's like he's seen it for the first time. This broken man, he stands before a billboard. He stares at plastic perfection and beauty. Life out of reach, life never known. There's a pang of loss as he averts his aching eyes. And this broken man, he stands before a TV and he stares at premeditated violence and war. Life snatched by death, life stained by fear, and he stifles unexplained guilt as he reaches for the remote. And in his heart he kneels, overwhelmed. Yes, in his heart he kneels. Who can rescue us now, this broken man? This broken man, he stands before a mirror and he stares at who he really is. Life that slides by, life left behind, and he searches for a glory that was never there. And in his heart he kneels condemned. Yes, in his heart he kneels. He's just another broken man. He's just another broken man. This broken man, he stands before a wood cross, and he stares at love come down and haunting grace, haunting grace. Life poured out, life exchanged, the pierced hands of a God who reaches out, and something resonates deep in his soul, and in his heart he kneels. Yes, in his heart he kneels before this crucified King. Yes, he kneels with nothing to bring. He kneels, and does he hear heaven sing? Does heaven sing for this? Does heaven sing for this? Does heaven sing for this? Does heaven sing for this broken man? You know, his life changed, was transformed at the point where he stopped walking past this thing that before had been just a dead icon, and he realizes that a cross is the place where the God who's created the universe stepped in to walk among us as humanity and then die in our place so that wrongness, so that condemnation could be taken away. And that broken man, he falls on his knees and he cries out to that God who's come towards us in the person of Jesus. And in the story, he experiences a new start because he's realized just what generous love has been poured out when Jesus died in his place. I was sitting next to a guy on an airplane one time, and it was quite a long flight, and we were talking together about, well, what's the story? What's the story of the message of the Bible in 60 seconds? So I was saying, well, really, it's like this, that there's a God who is there, who is clean and good and powerful. And we could talk about evidence for him being there. And somehow this God has brought into existence humanity, but not just like you spin a top and step back, but creating humanity with a capacity to live in relationship with him, connected to him. And that should be just a glorious, wonderful, majestic message. But like the boy in the story, like the man in the story, we as humanity have said, actually, it's all right. I'm going to go off my own way. I want to put as much distance as I can between you and me. And I'm going to run my own show, my own way. And this relationship has been broken, cut off. And that should be the end. That should be the end of our story. But it's left this longing for new start, longing for connection, longing for homecoming, because we're created for something more than this. But the message of Jesus is that he steps in to a broken world, walks among us, and doesn't just do that. He then goes on to die on that cross that broken man saw in that last song. And he dies so that people like you and me, broken people, could have relationship. Because all of that brokenness, all of that condemnation, all of that wrongness, Jesus dealt with that by dying in our place. But the messages and the stories of Jesus are to invite us to kind of induce a kind of longing within us for that fresh start, to step towards that Father's embrace, experience the relationship that we're made for. And I wonder tonight, as you hear these songs and these stories, where you'd put yourself. Would you put yourself there, close, responding like the broken man, experiencing a new start? Or would you say, well, to be honest, I'm still nowhere near that. I don't know what that's about. And tonight, it's great that you're here and we can think and talk about these biggest themes. And there's all kinds of ways that we can explore this and think more about it. When you sat down on your seat, there was a little card that was inviting you to an Alpha course. Stick that in your pocket and get in touch, connect with people tonight and say, I'd like to be a part of that. Because it's not just about an emotional response. This sounds good. I'd love that. But the question is it true? And wonderfully, there are things that we can examine together and see that there are very strong evidence driving us towards this not just being a wonderful story, but something that is true and life-changing. A God who invites you into relationship, even this evening. Well, I'd like to sing you just a few more songs before we close tonight. And this next song is called Lavish. And it's a song that, it's the title track of a recent album. And it's lavish is a word we don't use very often, but it means generous, poured out love. And that is what this song is about. Lavish love that drives out fear, lavish love embracing near, lavish love, adopting love that calls you child, adopting love pure undefiled, lavish love. His love endures forever, and His faithfulness stands for all time. Forever love untamed by years, from out of this world love the life appears. Lavish love, forgiving love dies on a cross, sacrificing love might gain His loss, His loss, 'cause His love endures forever, and His faithfulness stands for all time. Yeah, His love endures forever, and His faithfulness stands for all time. Life birthing love to last breath, God revealing love conquers death, conquers death. 'Cause His love endures forever, and His faithfulness stands endures for all time. Yeah, his love endures forever, and his faithfulness stands for all time. You know, there was a guy who came to see Jesus one night, and he was longing for a new start. He was an old man, religious man. Everyone thought of him as a really good man, this man, Nicodemus. But when Jesus started talking about a new start, he used metaphors and pictures. That's what Jesus often does. And he used this metaphor, might have been overused in our culture, but it's actually a beautiful one, of being born again. It's like the ultimate new start. And Nicodemus, he isn't stupid, you know, but he answers Jesus back in the same kind of metaphor way and says, but how can a person be born again? What he's really saying is, how could a person ever make a new start when I'm an old man? How could I have the new start that I long for? You see, Nicodemus, like many of us, had spent his life heading in what he thought was the right direction and doing the right things. But as he kind of looked at things as they really are, he realized how his kind of efforts of approaching God, approaching goodness, well, they just were so small and so insignificant. And he's longing for a new start. Perhaps he was thinking, I'd try again. Perhaps next time I'd get more things right. I wouldn't have so many things wrong in my history. But Jesus, he talks again in pictures, but he explains that he is the one who has come to him. And it's no longer about Nicodemus forging a new start by what he does, but it's instead about the God of heaven coming towards him. And Jesus is the one who is that God stepping towards him. He, if you like, is God come down, God come towards us, the Father coming towards us with his arms open. And Nicodemus, as he was sitting there, he was thinking, this is for me. And later on in the story, we find Nicodemus on the front line of standing up for Jesus. And for sure, he was one of the first people to realize that Jesus hadn't stayed dead, but that he'd come alive again. And this song is called This Is For You. It's not just for Nicodemus. It's not just for that broken man. It's for you. And it's about a God who comes towards us. This is for you. This is for you. This is for you as you sit in your car, drink at the bar, as you ride the train, walk in the rain, as you look at your reflection, as you question your direction. It's for you. It's for you. This is for you as you dream alone. Reach for the phone as you think too deep. Feel your heart leap as you laugh out loud, as you wow the crowd. It's for you. It's for you. The Lord is slow to anger and abounding in love and faithfulness. He longs to be gracious to you. He rises to show to you compassion. This is for you as you struggle with doubt. Cry out as you hide the pain. Fall down again as you try to hide. As you die inside, it's for you. It's for you. The Lord is slow to anger and abounding in love and faithfulness. He longs to be gracious to you. He rises to show to you compassion. The Lord is slow to anger and abounding in love and faithfulness. He longs to be gracious to you. He rises to show to you compassion. This is for you. This is for you. Well, it's great to talk about these big things tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of this evening. Just to say again, do take those little cards, and it's a really relaxed kind of atmosphere, often over a meal, to talk about the biggest things, and a great way to engage with these things and attack them actually, and think, is this true? Is this true? Because if it is, it could be something that's for me. One time I was playing in a prison, and there was a guy sitting just here, and at the end of the event, I'd been talking about similar themes, and he jumped up and rushed towards me. And everyone had told me that, you know, things kick off always at those kinds of events. If there's going to be hostage, if there's going to be a riot, it always starts at those kinds of events. So now this guy's running towards me, and I'm thinking, what's going to happen now? And as he gets closer, he goes, I know exactly what you're talking about, Andy, because just these last few weeks, I've been sitting in my cell and I've been reading through the New Testament. And I've been reading about the Jesus who told these stories that you are talking about. And I realized that there's something broken, there's something wrong, there's something condemned in me, and there's nothing that I can do to get myself right. That's why I'm inside, Andy. But as I read those stories and read about that person, Jesus, I realized that there is a new start possible. There is forgiveness waiting for somebody even like me. Because that Jesus, he died instead of me so that I could receive the gift of forgiveness. He took all my wrongness. And he described how in his cell he'd knelt down by the bunk, and he'd said to the God who is there, he said, I'm sorry for all the rubbish things I've done. Please forgive me. Thank you that you're such a generous God who comes towards a person even like me. And it was a beautiful moment. And after him telling me that story, I went home and I wrote this next song for him. He sets the prisoner free. He makes the blind see. He makes the dumb talk. Lets the lame walk. His name is. His name is. In our world filled with shame. In our world marked with pain. In our world where we just fall down again. He sets the prisoner free. He makes the blind see. He makes the dumb talk. Lets the lame walk. His name is. His name is. We long for justice, but fear it's coming. We long for peace, then go out to war. We long for a Savior. We cry in the darkness, but we turn away from his nail-pierced hands. There'll be a day of glory. There'll be a day of majesty. There'll be a day when every eye will see. He sets the prisoner free. He makes the blind see. He makes the dumb talk. Lets the lame walk. His name is. His name is. His name is. His name is. His name is Jesus. His name is Jesus. His name is Jesus. His name is Jesus. Well, thank you for sharing this evening, and thank you for this opportunity to talk about these big things, this question of, is a new start possible? I hope that you've been seeing, woven through these stories and songs, this claim that yes, a new start isn't just possible, but it's absolutely necessary. It's what you're created for. You and me, we've been made for a relationship with the God who is there. And it's not something that remains an empty, unfulfilled longing, but this God has come towards us in the person of Jesus to die instead of us, to be raised from the dead, so that you and me could experience that homecoming, that connection, that new start, that forgiveness that we long for. And a wonderful thing to do would be to come on that Alpha course. Keep that little thing in your pocket. But it might be that even tonight, somebody's saying, look, that guy in the prison, I'm not inside, but I could be. I feel like I could be. The way things are in my heart, I would love to experience that relationship with the God who is there, the God who's come towards me in the person of Jesus. I want to experience that new start. And I could talk about it more, but right now I am ready. I am convinced that this Jesus is the God who comes here, and that he's died instead of me so that I could be forgiven. And like Danny, I want to say, I'm sorry. Please, take away all that wrongness. Thank you for your generous love that turns everything on its head. And tonight, just as we finish this evening, I'd like to pray a prayer. And it'll be an echo of Danny's prayer. That prayer that says, I'm sorry. Please, I want that new start. Please be my king. Thank you for that generous love towards me. So I'm going to pray. And then I'm going to sing one last song. And this song is written by a person who knew what it is to have that connection with God. It was written in another language, in another culture, but it was a person who knew what it is to have that connection with God based on his generosity towards us, not based on him sorting his own life out. And this song is based on a psalm. So let me just pray, and then we're going to sing this last song. Thank you, Father God, that you are a God who is so loving and generous. Thank you that tonight we've been able to speak about how we are made for connection, relationship with you. And when we think about how you are good and clean and powerful, we think, how could we ever be connected to you? And some of us, perhaps tonight, have been realizing that that is why Jesus came. God come here to die instead of us, to take away our wrongness and to give to us the gift of his rightness. That God, Jesus, who came alive again, proving who he was. And tonight, some of us want to say, I'm sorry for all the wrong things that I've done, the way I've been living for myself. Please forgive me. Please give me that new start that I long for. Thank you that you are such a generous loving God who approaches us with his arms held open in the person of Jesus. Amen. Find rest, oh my soul, in God alone. My salvation and my honor depend on him. My rock, you alone my salvation, you are my fortress, I shall not be shaken. He's my refuge and he's my mighty rock, I trust in him. Salvation, you are my fortress, I shall not be shaken. You alone are my rock, you alone my salvation, you are my fortress, I shall not be shaken. God has spoken, and we have heard how you, oh God, are strong, and how you, oh God, are loving. You alone are my rock, you alone my salvation, you are my fortress, I shall not be shaken. You alone are my rock, you alone my salvation, you are my fortress, I shall not be shaken.
Why, thank you so much, Andy, for that tonight. It's been great being able to listen and to be able to think through those themes that we've been thinking through tonight. And as Andy said, it'd be really good to continue to think about those, particularly if maybe this is the first time you've really started to think this through. As he said, the Alpha course is a really good way to do that. Do take those cards away. And there's 2 different Alpha courses running coming up soon. There's an evening one that happens on Monday nights, and there's a daytime one that happens at 10 o'clock in the mornings on Thursday mornings. And that's just starting really soon. Monday the 23rd for the evenings, and Thursday the 26th for the daytime course. So do come to the Alpha course. As I said at the beginning, we do this Big Questions evening once a month. So we're going to be back here kind of same time next month. We're going to be looking at a different question. It's going to be me next month, so you'll be glad there'll be no music, just me speaking. You won't want to hear me sing. We're going to be looking at the question, are miracles possible? Some people would say, well, there's not even the possibility that miracles could happen. But also, are miracles possible in terms of our lives? And could miracles happen to us? So we're going to be thinking about that question the 19th of February. So it'd be great to see you here. Do come and bring others with you. If you want to chat through what you've heard tonight, maybe that's raised kind of questions. Maybe you've got more questions you'd like to talk through. I'll be around at the front. Gaynor is going to be here too. Andy will be around as well. We'd love to chat. And do come and talk to us about any of the questions that you might have. Next door, where you came in and where the cakes are, there's a bookstall, and there's different books there and resources that you might want to look at that you might find interesting. Your CDs there as well, and Andy's CDs there as well, which are fantastic. So if you've enjoyed tonight, why not grab one or two of those CDs and listen to it? And you can listen to not just Andy, but Andy and his whole band as well. Are you on the? Yes, you are too. So fantastic. So listen to the guys later on CD. How much are they? £5, bargain. That's fantastic. And then if tonight you're saying, yeah, I would like this fresh start, I would want this new start, and maybe you prayed tonight, or maybe you were really thinking about that. We've got some little booklets called Yes, and they're for those who are wanting to say yes to that offer of a fresh start. You've got some down at the front. You could take those away with you. And also this book called A Fresh Start. Takes a little bit longer to read, but that also looks at the same topic. We'd gladly give you one of those as well. Just come down, grab one off us at the front. It would be great to be able to give that to you. So thanks for coming. Don't feel you've got to rush away. Come and chat to us, talk to those you came with, grab more cakes, look at the bookstall. But thank you for coming, and if not before, we'll see you next month. Thank you.